In A Way for Women, Lesson 5, I think that was my favorite lesson to write. I really enjoyed this. And it goes towards Luke's unique perspective and the unique material that he has. And also that Mary, I think, was a source for a lot of this. Mary was in the middle of all this, and she would have been able to provide a lot of detail about the ladies that followed as she did, as she followed Jesus. And so, but the emphasis here, if we're talking about Jesus as the compassionate Son of Man, Jesus as a human being, what we're really saying is that Jesus identifies with humanity across the board, particularly in Luke. Jesus identifies with the vulnerable, the children, the prostitute, the leper, all those, the poor, the sick, the possessed. What's unique about this, again, we're looking at Jesus' ministry in Galilee, and what's interesting here is just how important women are to Jesus' ministry. And like you said, it's not like today where, women have equality under the law. In our society in the West today, thankfully, women have an equality of opportunity. At this time, women weren't really, in terms of status, didn't have much status above a child. Their word did not count for anything in the court of law. So this is a very vulnerable group of people that Jesus draws to himself. And what So have some fun with this lesson. First of all, in these chapters, see how many ladies you can find. A lot of them are named, a lot of them are not named, but what you start realizing, there's a whole lot of women around Jesus. And Jesus he welcomed these women into his ministry, and they were disciples. And many of them had means, they had wealth, and they supported. We can thank the Lord for these women who opened their purse and supported Jesus through this ministry financially. So we're seeing a picture of, if Jesus has come to save as the Son of Man, to seek the lost and to save, if Jesus is the very expression of the mercy of God, what does that look like? Again, going back to your question, what does the gospel to the poor look like? Well, here's a picture of it. Jesus is interacting, and I think spend some time, if there's one section of these 5 chapters to focus on that story of the Jesus having the meal with Simon the Pharisee and the sinner woman who comes and anoints them. And what we see from there is a picture. First of all, we often talk about, well, Jesus ate with sinners. Jesus ate with the vulnerable. But you know what? Often Jesus is eating with Pharisees. Jesus will eat with anybody, and I actually underline this as Jesus. I think it's a lesson coming up on the feast, the banquet of the Lord. Jesus eats with the Pharisees, the hypocrites, as well as the sinners, and it's actually in the home of a Pharisee that this sinner woman, some notorious prostitute probably, comes in and washes Jesus' feet, and she weeps and there's a beautiful encounter that really shows us the intimacy of Jesus. And the 3 things, the big takeaways, that shows us, well, what does the mercy of God look like in action? It's not just I think Jesus shows love towards Simon, the Pharisee, as well as her. He's teaching him, just as he's showing her, what the merciful, compassionate Son of Man looks like. And so we see love emphasized. 3 things: love, forgiveness, and peace. This is what Jesus' gospel to the poor looks like in action in this story. It's transformative. I think it was as transformative for Simon as it was for the woman. And it's a beautiful picture. I would encourage the teacher to narrow the discussion in the interest of time to that story and really fleshing out, because this is what the compassionate Son of God looks like in action.